and it is Congress versus Congress one more time. Congress MP Manish Tewari's book, which says India should have acted against Pakistan after 26/11 when the party-led UPA was in power, has triggered a fresh row just days after the controversy over comparisons between Hindutva and Islamist terror groups by Salman Khurshid in his book, both part of G24, remember. The ruling BJP, of course, on obvious terms, ribbed into the Congress, and Mr Khurshid for his book was slammed, rival over Mr Tewari as well. They said, the BJP came out to say this is confessions of failures of the Congress party. Gaurav Bhatia of the BJP went ahead to say that the gist of the book is that restraint can be considered weakness. India should have taken strict action after the 26/11 attacks. Now, today it became clear that Congress government was insincere and useless. These are the words of the BJP. They, of course, went on to talk about how it's been a failed leadership as well. But what has Manish Tewari said in response? Well, he responded to that saying that I'm rather amused by BJP's reaction to come to one excerpt from a 304-page book. Also saying that he has tried to dissect responses to national security situation that impacted India and looked at several of those cases. This is just one of them.
और इसका सारांश हिंदी में है, संयम शक्ति की निशानी नहीं है। मुंबई हमले 26/11 के जो हमले हैं, ये संयम कमजोरी माना जा सकता है। भारत को कड़ी कार्रवाई करनी चाहिए थी। ये जब कांग्रेस की विफलताओं का कबूलनामा पड़ा तो बड़ा स्वाभाविक था, हर भारतीय की तरह हमें भी बड़ी पीड़ा हुई। आज स्पष्ट हो गया ये तथ्य, ये बात कि कांग्रेस की जो सरकार थी वो निठल्ली निकम्मी थी, लेकिन राष्ट्र सुरक्षा जैसे मुद्दे पर भारत की अखंडता की भी उनको चिंता नहीं थी।
All right, so the comments by the BJP pretty much on expected lines, right? You expect the BJP to say this every time there is a criticism of the Congress coming from within. Manish Tewari, known to be part of G23, as they say, the group of 23 leaders who have expressed concerns about the leadership in the Congress party themselves. So, Ajay Bose, who joins us now. Ajay Bose, how is one supposed to see this now? I mean, this is pretty much what the Congress party or perhaps several other members of the G23 have been saying for a while. Again, timings are going to be questioned. People are going to say, well, this is yet another attack. They should come out and be strengthening the Congress party from within. But, you know, what is fascinating, at least for me, on this is not just the Gandhi leadership, as is generally seen to be the case when it comes to the criticism that comes out of G23, but the functioning of the UPA government itself. Is this, would you say, a question on even Manmohan Singh as a Prime Minister, as the leader of how the UPA was going at that moment?
You know, it's very funny. And of course, Manish is very free to have his own opinion on what India could have done after that attack. But actually, the Congress went on next year to win and actually increase its tally in the Lok Sabha polls. So obviously, the people of the country didn't think, that the Congress had proved to be, such a nikamma government on this issue, because it's really ironical when you look back. A lot of us felt that this could have really cost the Congress a lot because of this attack, and because it seemed that the government hadn't done enough or hadn't had a violent sort of, tit for tat reaction.
The story here? Isn't that what the whole story is about? That the Congress MPs and then minister in the government seems to be coming out in criticism.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, I think to some extent, if you look at the issue. It was politically, didn't turn out to be such a hot potato for the Congress. Actually, they increased its numbers and they won a second term, which was, quite surprising. That could have many other reasons, but the fact of the matter is that this wasn't such a major electoral issue, which came soon after the elections. But I think what it does show, Manish writing this book, and more criticism about the Congress from various quarters. And I think more disturbingly for the Congress, the number of people who are leaving the party and joining the Trinamool Congress, for instance.
On a day like this.
I think to some extent, it's not so much what the Congress did during the UPA regime, but what the Congress represents today. And it is, I think, looking more and more a jaded and faded party, and an yesterday's party. It doesn't really look like a winning force anymore. So I'm not very sure about whether this specific issue or whether India should have gone and, what they say, muh tod ka jawab to Pakistan, for what they had sponsored here. But I think that what this criticism in this book and the criticism which is generally there amongst many Congress members and this internal sort of rumblings within the Congress shows that the Congress of today, not so much what it was then, is the issue.
Well, you're right about that, but Amber Zaidi is with us, supporter of the BJP. But Amber, BJP, what's fascinating for me is now, Manish Tewari came, gave you an issue to talk about, you're talking about it. That is pretty much it. We never heard the BJP criticize India's response back then. Now jumping onto the issue and doing pretty much the obvious here.
Sonal, I feel what Manish Tewari has said is a confession of truth about how Congress party's unparalleled love for Pakistan's, resulting them taking a soft stand on terror. And this is not the first occasion that Congress has extended support for Pakistan, whether it's on 370,
no, that's not what he's saying.
Hindutva.
Hello. That's not what he's saying. He's not saying extended support to Pakistan. No. That's not what he's saying at all.
He has questioned the leadership. He has questioned the
that's different from saying
this becomes more embarrassing when this comes from someone insider. So we know that this Manish Tewari, he has been part of the Congress since so long, and he is the G20 part of the G23 group as well. And when this comes from an insider, this becomes more embarrassing. And he has questioned the leadership of the UPA government back then, and we did not see the reverse response to the terror back then.
But my question is very simple, Amber. My question is simple. If you didn't criticize then, why criticize now? And also, let me ask you this: can BJP, any leader, any union minister in BJP today, take out a book and write an excerpt and question what a Narendra Modi regime has done? Would that ever be possible? Would we see a scenario like that?
See, national security has been the main concern for the BJP always. We have seen, like, after Uri attack, what happened.
I didn't ask you that question.
This is the difference between the UP and NDA government. How a UPA government
can take a stand against the leadership and NDA cannot. That's the difference.
Stand on Uri attack. Modi government has given the free hand to the army after Uri attack. And what happened after that? We all know how UPA government, this is the difference between the UPA and NDA government. And what Manish Tewari has questioned is about the UPA's leadership. And he even the Fali Major, he has spoken to media and he has said that how the Air Force was ready with the information.
That's not what I asked.
Attack the camps.
That's not what I asked. Anyways, let me just take a quick 30-second comment from Ajoy as well as we wrap up. Ajoy.
Well, firstly, the BJP did go against the Manmohan Singh government. LK Advani in parliament and outside called him a weak, a weak prime minister. But actually, it didn't work in the elections because the elections was basically made into the Manmohan Singh being a very weak prime minister, but actually the Congress increased its numbers. Secondly, you were asking about whether the BJP can criticize its own regime. Well, maybe at a future date, when Narendra Modi is no longer prime minister, when the BJP is crumbling fast and everyday members of this thing, you will find BJP members writing books and doing the same thing. So politics, I'm afraid, is it is like that. Winner take all.
You don't know how history judges you, how kindly or not history judges you later on. So that's a good food for thought to actually take a quick break on. Thanks, Ajoy and Amber, for joining us.